What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? It's your girl Candy J coming in with an episode of what? Candyology. Oh my God, I've missed you. Okay, y'all know I do my lives throughout the week, but I haven't been doing my podcast because I like to bring y'all some special guests, and I like to make sure that when I come to you with a podcast, I'm coming to you with some phenomenal people that you cannot miss out on looking at. So if you've missed some people, because I've had some amazing people on my show, go to my YouTube, go to my Instagram. If you're here on Facebook, go back to all of the different videos and just take a look at all of the things that are there. Okay, so listen, guys, y'all know that on June 1st, I opened my own office. I had a space before, but this is mine and only mine. I opened my office here at June 1st, and you can see the address on the screen, 1601 East Lamar Suite 204, Arlington, Texas, 76011. And you're like, okay, I've never seen this girl before. Okay, so if you're new here, my name is Candy J. I am a certified clinical sexologist through the Dr. Rachel Institute and the American Colleges of Sexology and the American Board of Sexology. I specialize in putting the oohs and the ahs back into your relationship. But guys, all seriousness, I do this by focusing on communication. And so I specialize in dating after divorce, life after infidelity, premarital and marital counseling, sex education for all ages, but I have a sweet spot for sex education for those middle schoolers age. Y'all know, if you've ever watched here before, I am a former teacher, so Candy loves the kids, right? And so everything that I specialize in, I've been through. I was married for 16 years. I am a domestic violence survivor. All of these things I have been through. And so you can have virtual or in-person sessions with me, group counseling. I'm always available to speak. You see, I'm not shy, right? Okay, so a couple of things I gotta let you know that are coming up, okay? Let me put this on the screen for you. Add to the stream. All right, so we moved the couples retreat, guys, to September. It is September 23rd and 24th. Now, listen. No, I'm telling everybody. If you pay in full by August 15th, it is only $397. If you need a payment plan, you're paying a little bit extra, and that's going to be $557. If you're using Afterpay, it is the regular price of $497. But hey, it'll be completely paid, and then Afterpay can worry about you and your payments. Okay. But that does allow you to put a portion down instead of the amount, because mine is half and half for the payment plan, or Afterpay does it in 4 easy payments. So listen, in this mini couples retreat on Friday night, you're getting a couples game night, a couples meet and greet. I have some games for you. I have a lot of information coming to you, but it's about fun that night. Friday night is about fun. But on Saturday, on Saturday, y'all church folks know, I like to sing. On Saturday, though, you will get in the nitty gritty with 4 different sessions of talking all about communication, emotional intelligence, learning your triggers, healthy relationships. That's my motto: saving relationships, saving lives. Okay. All right. So that's about the couples mini retreat. On every other month, I start a new spice course. If you have never heard anything about my spice course, I'll give you about the 30-second rundown. Spice stands for sensuality, passion, intimacy, communication, and excitement. In this 90-day course, let me say that one more time. 90 days. Okay, you will each week get a challenge, some type of thing that's going to reconnect your relationship. I talk about love languages. I talk about the 5 senses. I talk about properly and safely communicating with your significant other, putting the excitement back, role play. I talk about all of these things so that you can get back to loving your significant other and being passionate and having intimacy with that person. Listen, intimacy is not sex, but intimacy can lead to sex. So no, is a relationship all about intimacy? No, but it's a big part, right? So if you've ever read my ebook, I talk about the top 5 things that people divorce in intimacy. is definitely on that list. Okay. So I'm only taking 10 couples for August. If you're on a payment plan, again, you pay a little bit more. It's $25.37. If you use your Afterpay, you get a $500 discount. Well, $357 if you want to go with the regular price. But you're getting a discount to use your Afterpay for $2,000. And again, you can always hit me up to find out how to do all of that. And then if you just pay in full in one lump sum, it's $23.57. Okay, so guys, I'm excited. Enough business talk, okay? Listen, I have my friend, my sister. I love this chick. Miss Carin, she's coming to the stage. This is who my guest is. And so listen, today is a delicate subject. In this last couple of years, we need this particular subject because we're all faced with it. So I'm going to bring her in and let her tell you who she is. Hey, boo, come on in. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Candy, thank you so much for having me. So great to be with you. My name is Carin Mikos. I am a registered nurse and a death doula. And I really specialize in having conversations about end of life and like what that looks like, the fulfillment of your life in the end.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if you heard her, so I'm going to say it again. She is a death doula.
Death doula.
And I'm probably sure you're like, what the hell is that?
Well, everybody's pretty familiar with the birth doulas or the birth midwife. So you could kind of think of me as the other end. I'm a death doula, a death midwife. And I love it. It really is a true calling.
So let me ask this question because we'll get into it. But let me ask, first of all, what made you become a nurse?
Oh, well, first I was a teacher, and that was one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. And I was doing special ed, and I really was having a hard time emotionally with the challenges. So I came home to Connecticut, regrouped a little bit, and I started volunteering for an ambulance company. And that just led me right into being an emergency medical technician and then a nurse. And I've been a nurse for 25 years. I love it.
Oh my goodness. That's a very long time to be a nurse. First of all, thank you for your service because, first of all, I know that I'm a former teacher, but what a lot of people don't know on my platform, even though I talk about it a little bit, is that I'm an autism mom. Right. And so even just however long you were in special ed, we thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was tough.
I understand. What did you feel like was tough about being in special ed?
So I had this. So I was young, just out of college. I had this like grandiose thoughts about saving and changing the world. And I was going to do that through special ed. And I didn't have the cooperation of the administration. I was working inner city Boston, in that area, and the families were non-existent. And it was like the heartstrings that I was feeling like pulled by these children who, we worked so hard during the day, and then everything would just disappear when they went home or on the weekends or over the summers. All their work would just disappear. And I spent more time teaching them social things, hygiene. Every kid had a little package with soap and toothpaste, toothbrush. We spent time doing that with a comb, brush your hair, just to kind of offset some of the bullying. And kids can be mean, and it wasn't a place for education.
And you said that was in Boston, right?
Yeah.
And what year was this? Around what time frame?
So late 80s, early 90s.
And see, special education has definitely come a very, very long way. I am so grateful for the teachers that are at my son's school. They have their own, like, they call it the care unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's only 10 students in that room, and all of these teachers are there's actually about 10 teachers in that room, so it's almost 1-to-1. And
Yeah.
so, they love my kid. They will fight about my kid.
Yep.
And you're right. They do teach social skills, but I because I'm a former teacher and I'm actually a former English teacher. I fought hard to make sure. Listen, Colin knows how to read. He's already on a second grade level, and this was in kindergarten, right? So he's already on a second grade level. Don't treat him like he does not know. He's not intelligent. He knows exactly how to read. He knows what things mean. He might struggle a little bit to tell you what it means, but he understands. So I fought very hard to make sure that they were going to give him education and the life skills that he needs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm an involved parent, so that's not even a thing that he wasn't getting at home. So yes, definitely thank you for that. So I'm gonna pause right here, and we'll be right back. So, welcome back, guys. If you are just joining us, my name is Candy J. I'm a certified clinical sexologist and a relationship and intimacy coach. I am here with my girl, Carin. I always say it, Mikos, and I'm like, okay, which one do I say?
Mikos, like my kiss.
I always say it wrong. I promise. I mean no harm.
No worries. No worries.
But my girl is a death doula, and we were just catching up a little bit about special ed and how my kid is a special needs child. He's autistic, and Carin used to be a special ed teacher, but then became a nurse. So tell me about the journey of nursing. I know that you said you became a emergency tech, right? And then what? My mom is a nurse as well. What part of nursing are you in? Because there's so many, different functions and wards that you can be on.
Oh my God. I feel like I've done almost everything there is to do, and I've done nothing inside of nursing. I've done, I've done some time in the surgical ICU, which was amazing. Really high intensity and, making a huge difference, but never really meeting the patients because they were always kind of intubated and sedated and on all kinds of machines. So it was a lot of family work. And then I went into the emergency room, like from the frying pan right into the fire. And that was awesome. Never knowing what was coming through the door. I worked level 1 trauma center in New Haven, Connecticut. So it was everything from hangnails to gunshot wounds to cardiac. It was incredible. What a learning experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I kind of was getting a little burnt out. So I left the hospital and I went into the community and started doing home health, going into people's homes, doing a lot of education, some wounds, just really meeting the people where they're at. And I loved it. I really loved it. And then hospice came up and the pandemic hit and I had access to all these nursing homes and I was with people, elderly folks who hadn't touched another human in months at this time in the beginning of the pandemic. And they just wanted to give me hugs. They just wanted me to stay and talk to them. They were so isolated and my heart broke. And And then the families, I would call the families and say, hey, I had tea with your grandmother or tea with your mother. And I got to see like this real intimate view of what the pandemic was doing to our elderly and the isolation that it was causing, the real grief that the families were experiencing by not being able to be with their loved ones. And that led me right into hospice.
Okay, so take me back for a second, because you said you were doing emergency room and you saw all kinds of things. What would be like the craziest thing that you ever saw in the emergency room?
Oh, the worst. Well, what do you mean by crazy? Like gory crazy, or like I can't believe this is happening? So we had a kid come in, gunshot wound, right? And by kid I mean like a 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is before the security was really beefed up in the emergency rooms. And then we're working them in the trauma room, and suddenly there's like 50 people like from the community in the emergency room, and they're starting to filter into the back where all the people are, and then they're filtering into the room that we're working on, this gentleman. And it was the gang that had shot him coming in to finish the job. We actually had to call the police to come like do crowd control and frisk people for guns. And I was like, this is a night. Like, oh my God. I've seen, people losing limbs to various motorcycle accidents.
Wait, you can't just move on from that. Wait, you're taking me too fast. Wait,
Sorry.
Wait.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this, right? So the dude is shot.
Yeah.
And you have the gang that shot him filling in the emergency room so that they can finish the job.
Yeah.
Are you scared for your life?
Yeah. But I also like had to save a life.
Oh my!
So somebody else was managing, like calling the police. Somebody else was trying to manage security. It like the whole night kind of stopped. Everybody was no longer taking care of their patients, but more or less trying to protect everybody that was trying to do their job.
Right. So did this young man live?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's still alive. They might have gotten him when he got out. Who knows?
I don't know. Who knows? But at least you did your job.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you were moving on. You were telling me another story.
Yeah, lots of like, people with motorcycle crashes who lost ankles, arms. I've stuck my finger in a heart to plug up a hole. I've had to clean up gray matter from somebody's brain off the floor.
My God. So I would imagine, and I think that we've talked about this before, I would imagine that just like how I am in mental health, like you get compassion fatigue.
Yes, for sure. And especially in the ER, it was there for me. We would have 16-year-old girls come in once a month, right around the same time every month, complaining of abdominal pain. And they would get this full workup, including a pelvic exam, including pregnancy test and blood work, only to rule out everything, and they're getting their period. They have cramps. What? But it was so busy and so understaffed that the education couldn't happen. Because clearly this young woman was not getting the education.
Wow. And was this in Boston or was this in Connecticut?
This was in Connecticut.
Wow. So let me go there for a second then.
Yeah.
So if there was no education, because I'm imagining this couldn't have been the only hospital that this was happening at. What is the education system like there for these type of things? Is there a Planned Parenthood? What is this? Do you happen to know what the school systems teach? That's intriguing to me.
Yeah, we do have Planned Parenthood in the area. I don't have any idea what's happening in schools, but I got the sense that she just needed to get away for a little while.
Wow.
Like that kind of, you just don't have the time to give everybody the attention that they deserve
Right.
in that situation.
Right. Oh my goodness. So since I'm thinking about that, and you can tell me if you don't want to talk about it or not, but how do you feel about these new abortion laws that have come out?
Ugh. It breaks my heart. I mean, it's just going to cause more trouble. And I can't believe that it's overturned. I really can't believe it. It's shocking to me.
I can't either.
And it's not motivated by, a pro-life conversation.
Right.
Which is like, I totally get pro-life. I totally get pro-choice.
Mm-hmm.
And the overturning Roe versus Wade was not about either one of those topics.
Not at all.
So that's the part and I feel hopeless and helpless about it.
Yeah.
Like how am I going to change that?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been talking to a couple of friends of mine. I'm actually going to do a show all by itself about the new laws. But I was talking to a few friends of mine about the fact that, I cannot do it for myself. I cannot have an abortion. I just can't. Like, it's just not a part of my DNA. That's not something that I would ever choose to do. Probably no matter what the circumstances are. And I can only think of maybe one thing that would really make, like, if I just knew, it was going to be a stillbirth or something like that, maybe I would do that. But I can't do it, right? But I stand with anyone that makes that choice, that's what they need to do for their body and their life. I think about rape victims. I think about molestation victims. I think about, people that just know that they're not going to be able to take a kid and don't have the heart to do adoption processes,
Right.
think about how people cannot bear the thought of carrying a child and doing all of those things to their body. Like, there's so many different scenarios that I could come up with for the reason why I am so pro-choice. But I just could not believe that a man pretty much is making a choice for all of these women.
Yeah.
I just could not even fathom,
Yeah.
And so it's just crazy to me. It really is.
Yeah.
And don't let me get on my soapbox. So I'm gonna move on with conversation.
Yeah. There's a lot more like that's coming down the road too.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're gonna overturn a couple other judgments, decisions, whatever you call it. Gay marriage is at risk right now.
And I'm glad you said that, because that was going to be my next thing. We talked about that, how that probably would come up in our conversation, because so the whole LGBTQIA community has fought for this, right? And so to probably put that back on the table and try to take it away is a disservice to everyone.
Everyone.
Heterosexual or LGBTQIA. It doesn't matter to me. You're making it a choice that you no longer have a choice but to be supposedly in a heterosexual relationship, and I'm just like, marriage rather, and I'm just like, no, because love is love, and if you want to marry whoever you want to marry, it's fine with me. Leave it alone.
Yeah, and if you're married, if you're in a same-sex marriage and one of them gets hurt, goes to the hospital, that other spouse doesn't have any rights to make any kind of input into the care of the one in the hospital.
Exactly.
Can't even visit in some states if it goes through.
It's just crazy. Honestly, I just think that people always talk about equality, and you're taking away so many things that make us equal.
Mm,
Hmm. What does that
mm,
really mean anymore? You know?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I could go on for days about it. But I just know that if that comes back up on the table again, people will be hearing my mouth on my podcast all the time about it as well. Just because I think that the more I've also really run into some ignorant people, and just not equipped with the knowledge of what that means for you as well, you know?
Yeah. Well, they
Um,
were ignorant before.
right.
Now they just feel like they have a right to speak up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But speaking of rights and speaking of choice,
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm going to bring it back to me, the death doula, and the conversations that I'm having is really about choosing, allowing the family and the patient to choose how they would like the end of their life to go.
Mm-hmm. I
You
love
know,
how you segued into that.
grabbing it back.
Oh, trust me, I was about to go there anyway. So so walk me through this process when someone says, "Okay, I want to go to the quietest house." Right, that's the name of your company. That's how you say it,
Right.
right?
Right.
Which let me see if I can bring it up on the screen.
Oh,
This
lovely.
is her business, right? Walk me through this, right?
Yeah.
How what happens when they say, okay, click on the button and say, I want to work with you? What happens? Who are your
Yeah.
target?
So,
Who chooses you?
um, anybody who's alive can choose me. So that's a pretty big audience. Anybody who's wanting to prepare for their end of their life can come work with me, or I'll work with them. And we can have things, we can do things like power of attorney paperwork, designate a healthcare agent to speak for you if you're incapacitated in any way. We can also write your obituary. I can sit vigil for a dying person, and give the family a little respite. I can administer medications that maybe hospice has provided as a
Okay,
registered nurse.
hold on, Karen. So I know what most of these terms mean, right? I grew up in a nursing household, but some people might not. So can you explain when you say you can sit?
Vigil.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So let's say grandma is, transitioning from into dying. The dying process has begun, and the family doesn't want to leave her bedside, and they want somebody to be there. But they're exhausted because they've been there for days. I can come in and sit with grandma. I can give her a bath. I can position her so that she's more comfortable. I can give her some medications to help relieve some symptoms that may be coming up. I use aromatherapy and various compounded gels to just relax the body. Um, and I can have conversations, really frank conversations about what that process is, what is happening to grandma right now.
Mhm.
I can collaborate with the doctors to bring in different things. Um,
That's
and
a lot.
yeah, and given depending on the stage where we are in this whole process, I like to create legacy projects, and
Mm.
that could be I just talked to a gentleman the other day about a legacy project. He's got like 6 grandchildren under the age of 12 and 2 grandbabies on the way, or
Mm.
great grands. And he's like, I'm going to be gone before those babies are born. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably true. He goes,
Right.
well, what can I do? How, will they know me? And we talked about a couple of different things, and he settled on creating like a video message. that he's going to leave to his grandchildren and his 2 great grandchildren.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
um Man, okay, so you've given me a whole bunch of things that you can do for them. What would be, and I know that it might be a crazy question, but what would be one of your favorite things to do that you're passionate with for what you do? Like, if you could just say, give me one thing about all of the different services that you offer, which one is your sweet spot? What's your heart?
It's those conversations with the patient and the families.
And why?
Um, because I can provide clarity, comfort, and a sense of this is okay, and like this is just part of life, and it just settles people,
Right, right.
and they learn to start to accept what's happening. There's a huge loss, without a doubt, but I actually get them present to the love, because
Mm,
without the love there'd be no loss.
mm. So, speaking of that, right? You have teamed up with someone that is just as equally amazing, named Craig Addy. Tell me how that fits into your services.
Yeah, great. Thank you for asking. So Craig is this amazing piano player, and he and I have teamed up. I lead a conversation with folks who have already had some loss, and we talk about their loved one who's passed. And Craig takes their experiences and transforms them on the piano into a personal, composed composition for that person and their loved one.
Mm. Okay, so guys, if you watch my show, Craig was on, maybe was that a month ago or so, and I talked about the death of my father, and right then and there, he played this amazing, beautiful piece impromptu. Like, this wasn't this wasn't something we practiced. I shared my story and he did it right there. And so, with the help of Carin facilitating these conversations and Craig just playing this beautiful piece, you can have something that is going to live on for your significant other. I almost said significant other. Your your loved one
Yeah.
forever, you know?
Yeah.
So have you had Craig do it for you, like for anyone that you've possibly lost?
Uh, actually, yes, him and I did get together and kind of tried it out in this virtual world. And I didn't do it through a loss of a loved one. I actually was like several days out from having, I was going to have hip surgery. And I
Mm.
had been dealing with hip pain and like a real interruption in my life and my mobility for months. So there was this loss of a lifestyle.
Mm.
And then we went into he asked me like what I would imagine after surgery, and I created this whole like freedom dancing in the streets kind of picture for him. And every single experience and emotion that I had talked about was in his song that he created right there for me. I mean, I cried, I laughed. It was so moving. It was so cathartic. Like I felt so free to have the surgery, like
Mm.
carefree.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
So that makes me that's a whole nother conversation then to have with Craig too.
Uh-huh.
Because that swings that back around to like dealing with the separation in a divorce, you know, that's it's literally a death, you know, of that person. So I can see how that would be beneficial there. Oh my gosh, Carin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo, we
Yeah.
need
I
to.
mean, he does under the piano for pregnant women. and their anticipation of their baby coming.
Mhm.
Couples just celebrating their relationship. This you could use, you and Craig could, you could do a thing.
Wow. I just think of so many scenarios that could. Oh, okay. We have a whole list. But going back to you though, so I'm thinking. So I know you helped before, and in the middle, but tell me about the experience of afterwards, like someone coming to you afterwards. How does that work?
Yeah, so if somebody's grieving, right, the loss, I would there's a couple of different modalities. We could write some letters to your lost loved one. We could create pictures, collages. I can just listen and just be with the emotions. And
Mhm.
sometimes that's really some of the most powerful moments, is just somebody who listens, and you're safe to express whatever it is that you're experiencing.
So, what you're describing to me is some sort of grief support outside of doing a group or doing therapy, which I'm sure that you could definitely team up with many different therapists as well to get that type of one-on-one for those clients as well. But that definitely sounds like great grief support, man. Because
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
people just don't even have anyone anymore. You know,
Right, right.
wow. You're doing amazing work. Um, can, so let me ask you this, because I don't think I asked you this. Like, what really led you into hospice, though? Because I know that you said you were working emergency, and then you went to hospice, right? And how did you find that love there? Like, I mean, what inside of you clicked and said, this is where I should be, and I should become this death doula."
Yeah, I had this experience in nursing school on the oncology floor, as part of one of my rotations. And I never forget some of the conversations I had with some folks who were in the hospital dying, or, just having trouble with their treatments. They were dying. And they were the most honest, real conversations I had ever had in my life.
Mm.
And I remember saying at that moment, like, I will be here someday. Like, I will be either working on the oncology floor. I didn't know about hospice back then. And then, the pandemic hit and it changed everything for everybody. And I just knew after a couple of experiences in those nursing homes, I'm like, this is the time. This is
Mm.
the time I'm going to go do some hospice work.
Wow. That I mean that's really amazing, because death is very traumatic for some people, and being able to work with those that are grieving is a major thing. So how do you keep yourself up? How do you make sure that mentally and physically, spiritually, that you are okay?
Yeah. I like to walk in nature. I like to do a little meditation. I do a little bit of exercise, and I'm not I'm not shy. I will seek help, and I have a friend who's a counselor who's kind of on standby for me if I ever need to really debrief or shed something, and we all support each other in the hospice world as well.
Mm. Well, so do they in the hospice world? Do they give you guys like free therapy or free counseling or anything like that? Do they provide that for the nurses and the staff?
It's not a designated time or service, but everybody's available. The whole
Mm,
team, it's a team approach. We're available to each other, because we've all been with that person and those families together.
right, right.
And as a doula, I have access to other doulas, and it's very much the same type of support.
So let me ask this. So with what you do, I can imagine that it might be a stressful situation for a significant partner as well. How does that work?
My partner is actually also a hospice nurse.
Shut the front door, the back,
She's
and
a hospice educator.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Shut
yes.
the front door. Okay, so this is the time for me to get in your business.
Come
Um,
on.
okay, so how did y'all meet?
So we met at a home hospice agency. We were both supervisors at the time. And we started taking an awful lot of lunches together.
Carin, are you turning red?
I might be.
So you just got to know each other more with lunches and spending a little bit more time with each other. How long has it been now?
We've been together for 2 years, living together for a year. And
Aw.
that includes a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old, both girls. And
Oh
the
my.
8-year-old is on the autistic spectrum.
Oh yeah, see that part I knew. Um, so how does that work? Like, did you have any trouble blending your family together?
Not too much trouble. We kind of hung out with the girls beforehand, just testing the waters. The 8-year-old, she was my buddy right from the get-go. Some new blood for her to kind of get into. And I gave her all the time and attention she wanted. So she liked me right away. The 15-year-old, it's taken a while.
Mm.
And I've just given her the space and like said, hey, you take all the time you need.
So what do you think that the biggest, and I always ask everybody this, what is the biggest challenge that you have in your relationship? Like how what would be the thing that you'd be like, oh my God, this is the bane of my existence, but I'm working on it. What would you say?
So I like to get into the feelings. I like to explore things like, so how was your day? And what was that like for you? And do you have a favorite part of your day today? Like share with me. So I'm very much curious and I want to know everything. And my partner, when she comes home from work, she just wants to shut down, relax. She's got to take care of not she's got to take care of the kids, but there's kid things to tend to. And, you know, for her coming home is like, but when she comes home, I'm like, hey, hi, how you doing? So that's, I have to kind of, let her come home, let her wind down, and then let my tail wag and come back at her.
Okay, so have you ever taken the love languages test? Do you know what your love language is?
Yes. Number one for me is time.
I knew it. What's number two?
Touch.
See, we're sisters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because honestly, quality time and physical touch are neck and neck. I think one was 33 and the other one was 34.
Yeah.
So,
Either way, I could go either way. Yeah.
right. What about her?
I don't know. I would have to say touch.
So at least it's not too far off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I have clients right now that is like one is gifts and the other one is touch, and they're like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know.
Yeah. 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 See, it's important to me. So here's I'll cough up a little something here for you. I'm her first same-sex relationship. I knew you'd like that one. So her ex-husband, and in bed the two of them were like opposite ends, and she would like put pillows in between, and just didn't want to be near her at all. And she says it always shocks her how she'll actually come seeking me out like in the middle of the night just to be back to back or be, spooning or just touching.
That's
Like
so
she's like, I
cute.
didn't know. I just didn't know that it could be like this.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think that you attribute that to being with the right person, though.
Oh, for sure. That's what I say to her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
I said,
but
call
that,
me.
wait. So here. Okay. So how did that work? How did y'all wind up? Because you just don't go cross the road. You don't jump over the train tracks easily.
Yeah. Yeah. So her story is that she was trying to fit in a mold,
Mm,
and if you look back on all the prior relationships, even before her 15-year marriage, or 16 years, it just wasn't right. It wasn't ever really right for her. And
mm,
she had thoughts about other women, but thought it was never once thought she was gay.
wow. See,
And
that's
then I popped on the scene and it changed everything.
wow. I mean, honestly, that's a story for y'all to tell.
Yeah.
Because but I run into a lot of people like that actually. Just
Yeah.
knew it was
Yeah.
never right, and they were trying to conform to society. And like I said earlier, love's love. Be with whoever the heck you
Yeah.
want to be with. You know. So
Yeah.
I love that. I thank you for sharing because I got all the feels on that one. Yeah. So does it in bringing it back to what you do, how does that work as far as both of you guys being doing the same thing? What happens when, if both of you guys, or has it ever happened where both of you guys are feeling a heavy loss, or maybe something is hitting you at the same time, and you do the same thing. So how does that
Yeah.
work?
No, I've not. I, that hasn't come up yet.
Ah, well, that's good. That's good.
It hasn't come up yet. And I think that, well, I was going to make something up like how it might go, but I really don't know how that would go.
Mhm.
Um, so I not recently, last September, had a real big health scare. And it was tough for her to process because she just doesn't process the same way that I do. So uh, there was some conscious effort to create time and space for her to kind of express what it was like for her to have me, be in the hospital for 5 days. And the thought of, like, it was real life threatening, like the thought of like that possibility that I wouldn't be around. And then actually kind of solidified our relationship in a lot of ways,
Mm.
because we were able to express who we are for each other inside of this life-threatening event.
So, that makes me actually do some introspection and reflection on what you just said, because I'm thinking, do you think that that possibly could make you guys better at what you do because you've gone through this now together?
Certainly a little bit of a different perspective on sudden illness, or a sudden diagnosis that's going to take you out in a month, like that kind of experience.
Is that something that you ever talk about or share in a roundabout way, maybe with the people that you help? Have you seen it possibly? Maybe you don't get into their real personal lives after the fact, so you might not know, but could that be something that brings them introspection as well? I'm just thinking.
I don't make it so much about me, but I do know what they're going through on some level, so I can speak to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, like this has got to be really scary for you.
Mm-hmm.
The uncertainty here, like what's that been like for you? Like I know how it was for me, I know how it was for her, so I can bring that experience into my questions and have the people that I'm servicing, like they can tell me how it is for them. But I
Yeah.
already know
Right.
on some level.
Right. And that's where I'm getting at, the appreciation for knowing exactly where someone is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I feel like when you have been around it so long, yes, you have the great experience of being the outside person, being able to look in and help these people and whatnot. But when something happens to you personally, it gives you, to me, a tighter bond right there. Oh, okay, now I really know what this person is probably feeling, you know, and able to help them at a different level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Guys, if you are just joining us, I am speaking with Carin. I'm going to say it wrong again. Mikos.
My kiss.
See, I don't know why I can't say it right. I never say it right, but she is the deaf doula with her amazing company called The Quietest House. And Carin has been sharing with me all of the lovely services that she provides. And I would like for her to go through them one more time, quickly, and tell us exactly what you are capable of doing for them. And then I'll also bring up how they can reach you as well.
Great. So I am a death doula that provides before death, during death, and after death services to families and loved ones. I create a space for love and loss to coexist. And it's always works out just fine.
Yes, and guys, if you're just tuning in, the wonderful things, and let me just say, one of the things that stood out to me about what Carin does is the companionship. That thing right there is everything. My mom was a home health nurse, so I watched some things unfold in front of my very eyes of how how they wouldn't want us to leave because maybe we were the only people that ever came to the house and took care of them, and she knew that they were not that far off from passing away. And some caring, some people, I was in their will, and I was just the child of the nurse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's crazy to me. And that's why I can relate to what you do so much, is because I saw it, firsthand, of how needed this is. And then this pandemic, Jesus, I think that I have gone to more funerals in the last 2 years than I have in my 40 years of living.
Yeah. It's a real grief crisis right now.
And so when all of this started happening, what were your first thoughts about it? When we talk
The
about
pandemic?
the pandemic.
Yeah, I didn't believe it. Like I'm like, what? Huh? What? What's happening right now? Are you kidding me?
Wait, what was the expression here?
What? How? Who? And the thing that was killing me was the lack of leadership around shutting it down. And the lack of leadership around making the information more available or mobilizing healthcare. The lack of supplies blew my mind, and just the lack of solidarity. It was a pure no leadership whatsoever. And I really do believe it made things 100 million times worse than it had to be.
Yeah, and I think about the other some of the other things about people dying so quickly, right? And I think it's something that we really had never really thought about how if we have so many people dying, how are we going to have all of these different funerals? How are we going to have an abundance of graves? Or, some people didn't opt for the option of cremation, and all of those different things that you now really have to think about. Because one of my friends, and I'm sure you probably had the same experience with someone. One of my friends, his father passed away like maybe in the middle of 2020, and it took 30 days. No, maybe 45 days for them to actually have a funeral.
Yeah.
Just have a
Well,
funeral so they can bury.
Whoever thought we'd be attending a virtual funeral or not being able to hug somebody who just lost their father at a funeral. Like that was, I don't know. I lost my aunt during COVID, not to COVID, but she was in a nursing home. This is my father's sister that he promised his mother he would take care of her always. And we were practically bribing the staff to let us in because she was dying. And like, we just wanted to be with her. Mm-hmm. It was, my father scoping out the nursing home, trying to figure out how he can get in the back door. It was just, it was a brand new world. It is a brand new world.
And it's funny that you say that, because I do remember a friend of mine telling me that her grandmother is in the nursing home. Her grandfather was not in the nursing home, so he could no longer go visit her, right? And so they figured out how to press their hands up on the window of her room and have that time. He like climbed over bushes just to do that, so she could feel like somebody was there.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's still crazy. I just did an admission, a hospice admission at home for a 97-year-old woman who was so isolated during COVID that she's 97, so she has dementia, and the dementia has just escalated in speed because of the isolation.
Right.
And the family's like, I don't understand what happened. I'm like, when did this start? And they're like, about 2-3 years ago. I'm like, COVID.
Right.
And then it was like the light bulb went on for everybody. Oh, yeah. Right. She was independent, living in her own house at 96 years old, 95 years old. And now she's completely bedbound at 97.
That's just heartbreaking.
It is. It is. And it's hard to justify. It's hard to rectify. That's the word.
Hard to digest.
Yes.
Especially when, you're in the trenches, right? You are a nurse. You see all of these things happening. And if you are so far removed from it, you still don't realize how much COVID affects all different types of ways, Yeah.
And we'll never walk into the hospital again without wearing a mask. Never.
It's crazy.
Mask will be a part of our lives for a long time, I think.
Yeah, and for me, I was one of those people. I was like, when I go outside, I'm not wearing a mask. Just don't come near me because I'm not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I need to breathe, people. I gotta breathe. I gotta feel normal. And I got fussed at so much about not having my mask on, because I would have it in my pocket, and then I'd walk into a store and everybody's looking at me like, and I was like, oh shoot, okay, here guys, I got you.
Yeah. Yep.
But I just it still hasn't become normal for me, and I don't want it to be the new normal, but it really is. And I really do think the nurses, the doctors, all of the staff members that battle all of this every day still. And, some of us are still walking out like, oh, COVID's gone. Nope.
Yeah.
But Carin, thank you so much for being on my show today. I know that we can sit and have 50,000 different conversations and we would still be on here for a while, but it's an hour show. But I will pull up, guys, how you can reach Miss Carin. Two of the ways I know, and I think she just told me that you got LinkedIn too. But
I'm on
The
LinkedIn.
Quietest House on Facebook. Yes, my sister can be reached on Facebook, and then at thequietesthouse.com. Please, I will tag. I will put in the comment section of this live so that you can reach her. Please, guys, like, subscribe, ring that bell so that she knows that you are there. And if you have questions about death, please don't hesitate to reach out and let her have that conversation with you guys and go that way. We support each other. You see, we do. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and of course, on the screen, how you can reach me is at Candyology CS. That's Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. You can see my craziness on TikTok because I like to make people laugh, but it's all about mental health. Okay, and Instagram. So this is me signing off, wishing you love-filled days and orgasmic nights. Have a great day.